The rain came softly over the countryside, like a silver curtain washing the earth clean. In a modest wooden home, 2 Deep sat with little Nhi, the 3-year-old who had become her shadow, her laughter, her joy, her constant companion. Their morning unfolded in tender rhythms, feeding chickens, plucking fresh vegetables from the garden, cooking rice, and sharing slices of fruit. Outside, the storm made the world seem distant and uncertain. Yet within those simple walls, warmth reigned. James had promised 2 Deep over the phone that he wouldn't return for several more days. He spoke of paperwork, of business obligations, of endless duties. But in truth, that very morning he had landed quietly at Noi Bai Airport. He longed to see her eyes when he walked through the door. To witness her surprise, her joy, and perhaps, in that instant, catch a glimpse of the life he had always dreamed of. On his way from the airport, James stopped at a small shop and bought clothes for a little girl: a yellow dress, a small hat, a white shirt decorated with tiny flowers. He pictured Nhi's delight, her small hands tugging eagerly at the fabric. At a flower stall, he chose a bouquet of fresh blooms, vivid and alive, as if to match the racing of his own heart. When he finally stepped inside the home, soaked from the rain but smiling, 2 Deep froze in astonishment. James stood there, arms full of gifts, his voice soft as he spoke. "I couldn't stay away." Nhi's eyes widened. As James knelt, he held out the clothes. "For you," he whispered. The child squealed with delight, clutching the yellow dress to her chest as if it were a treasure. That evening, they sat together around a humble table of rice and vegetables. James felt something shift inside him. The meal tasted better than any banquet he had ever attended. The laughter of 2 Deep and the bright giggles of Nhi filled the house like music. He had spent years facing meetings, contracts, and negotiations. But nothing compared to this fragile peace, this sense of home. Then came the moment. Nhi, her face glowing with innocence, turned to him. In a small, clear voice, she said the word that struck him like lightning. "Dad." For a moment, James could not breathe. The word did not wound, it healed. It carried with it a warmth so powerful his eyes burned with tears. Without speaking, he reached for her, lifting her into his arms, holding her as though he would never let go. Too Deep sat quietly, her lips curved into a gentle smile. In that instant, she saw James's heart laid bare. All the success and redemption he had once pursued paled against this. What he truly longed for was not another victory, but a family. For James, it was the most beautiful moment of his life. He had been called many things: CEO, boss, leader. But never this. To hear that single word from NHI was to discover a part of himself he had never known was missing. Too Deep's smile lingered. She whispered softly, "Welcome home, James." And as the rain eased into silence outside, James understood. No matter what storms awaited in the world beyond, he had found his anchor. He was finally home. A new dawn. The next morning, the rain was gone. The house awoke to birdsong, the fields glistening with dew, the air sharp and fresh. James opened his eyes slowly. For the first time in years, he did not wake in the cold silence of a hotel suite. Instead, he heard the clatter of dishes, the sweet giggles of NHI in the kitchen. He stepped outside to see Too Deep kneeling by the stove, her hair falling loose, her movements gentle. Her face glowed in the morning light. Beside her, NHI perched on a small stool, proudly wearing the yellow dress he had bought. She stirred an empty pot with a spoon, pretending to help. James leaned in the doorway, watching. The scene was simple, ordinary, but to him, it was more precious than any glass tower he had ever owned. "Good morning," he said softly. NHI jumped up, her small feet tapping across the wooden floor. She raised her arms. "Hi, Dad. Carry me." The word hit him again, but this time he did not hesitate. He lifted her, twirling her in circles until her laughter rang through the house like bells. Too Deep watched, her heart torn between joy and fear. She knew James carried the weight of a dangerous world outside these walls. And she knew that happiness as radiant as this could be fragile, the shadow of reality. They ate breakfast together, rice porridge, pickled vegetables, fresh tea. James fed NHI patiently, surprised at his own tenderness. Each smile she gave, each clumsy word she spoke, pulled him deeper into a bond he never thought possible. But reality has a way of intruding. James's phone buzzed. His face hardened as he read the urgent message. "It's John," he said tightly. "He's moving faster than I thought. He's already speaking with the investors." "If I don't go back soon, everything I've built could collapse." The air grew heavy. Too Deep placed her hand gently over his. "James," she said quietly, "you can rebuild a company. But you cannot rebuild a family once it is lost. Don't let the shadows outside steal what you found here." Her words struck deep. He knew she was right. But he also knew John would not stop. And now, with Too Deep and NHI in his life, he had more to lose than ever before. James kissed Nye's forehead, then looked at Too Deep, his voice steady though thick with emotion. Whatever happens, I promise this. I will fight not just for my company, but for us, for this family. Her eyes softened. Then we fight together. Storms ahead. In the days that followed, James found moments of peace in the countryside. Helping Two Deep water the garden. Watching NHI chase chickens through the muddy paths. Telling stories at night under the glow of a lamp. Yet even amid the tenderness, he felt the storm pressing closer. His phone filled with reports of investors leaving, rumors spread by John. One evening, as NHI slept, James and Two Deep sat under the silver light of the moon. Your world is full of enemies, she whispered. But you don't have to face them alone anymore. You have me now. James pulled her close. I'm not afraid of losing the company, he admitted. I'm afraid of losing you. John knows about us. Two Deep's gaze was steady. Then protect us, not with fear, but with love. We'll face whatever comes together. In that moment, James realized Two Deep was not fragile. She was stronger than most people he had ever known. She had lived through hardship, loneliness, storms, and yet her heart remained pure. She was his anchor. Parting promise. The next morning, James packed a small bag. Before leaving, he knelt before NHI. Dad, don't go, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. James's throat tightened. He lifted her close. I promise I'll come back, NHI. And when I do, we'll never be apart again. Two Deep stood nearby, her smile brave though her eyes shimmered with unspoken fear. As James's car disappeared down the road, she whispered, "Come back to us, James." Come back safe. Far away, in the city's shadows, John was already plotting. He had seen James's weakness. It was no longer money or power, it was love. And he would use that to strike. For James, the battle was no longer just about saving a company. It was about protecting the two souls who had given him a reason to call someplace home.